What's going on, traders? Hope everybody is having a great long weekend. Wanted to go through a recap of the market, some analysis, see what we can take away from last week, and formulate a game plan coming into the short week. Obviously, markets are closed on Monday for the holiday. So we will kick it off on the 16th, which is Tuesday, of course. And before we get into anything, we're going to go over the economic calendar via Market Watch. And of course, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so in no way should be viewed as financial advice. So with that out of the way, let's get into the calendar here and see if there's anything we want to be cognizant of. Let's pull that up. Okay, here we go. All right, what do we have ahead? All right, not really too much on Tuesday. I guess 11 o'clock we've got Fed Speaker Waller that we want to pay attention to. And then on Wednesday, we do have U.S. retail sales at 8:30. We do also have, let's see, Fed Speaker Bowman and Barr both speaking at 9 o'clock, so we will keep an eye on that. Fed Beige Book at 2 o'clock as well on Wednesday. And then at 3 o'clock, we do have New York Fed President John Williams speaking as well. So looks like we've got a lot of Fed speakers this week to be aware of. Thursday, we've got more. We've got Bostic speaking at 7:30. Okay, market will be closed at that point. That's pre-market. That's fine. Initial jobless claims at 8:30. And then we have Bostic again at 12 o'clock, 12:05 speaking. So Friday, we don't really have anything. We just have Barr speaking from the Fed and Daly. So looks like a very interesting week of speakers coming up here. And you know that obviously sometimes they can affect the market. So let's just be aware of their speaking times. But other than that, doesn't really look like any really major data this week that we have to watch out for. So that's good. All right, with that out of the way, let's start to dig into some charts here and see what we can take away. Markets did try to push up higher, but really, kind of more of an inside week, right? We're still trading, in this range, right? If we were to create right here like this, a little balance zone, right? So we've just been kind of trading here, have not been able to break out of this, but if we do start to break out of this balance zone, all-time highs are just around the corner, up about 4 more points. So if we break out of this, out of these highs, I would, really think that we'll hit that 480 coming up shortly. But otherwise, we may just continue to trade here up high and tight and see if we can get a breakout. We do want to be aware of possible distribution as well. We'll get into another chart. We've already kind of looked at the supply zone that we are sitting in here. So it's no wonder that the markets have been having a little bit of a hard time kind of breaking out higher, but I am sure that there are plenty of stop losses up at the top of this balance, so if we break over them, we should see that move up into that 480 zone, as I said before, but we'll have to wait and see what they want to do. Now, the other thing here I wanted to point out was we did have a little bit of a downtrend earlier, or that I was kind of watching. From this high. What is this high on the week of the 25th? Looks like 477.55. Well, on the daily chart here, we have, and we're on the weekly right now, but I'll go into the daily here just so I can illustrate it a little bit clearer, and then we'll go back to the daily chart. But we had our high, and you see this week we did push up, briefly made a new high, but it couldn't continue. But if we want to put in a trend line, right? Whoops. Let me actually do it this way. I had a bit of a trend line here that we were watching to see if we would break up over. We did break over, but when I go over to the weekly chart, and hopefully we did break over, right? You can see here we did break over, right? And we could even make the case that, this was a little, maybe a little weekly flag, right? That we're starting to break out of. But we didn't really make a higher high that convinced me, right? It was just what that the high from the 25th, as we mentioned, that 477.55. What we made about $1 back over it, and then we pushed back down. Couldn't close over it. So we really didn't see the breakout that I would want to see from this perspective. A weekly chart breakout would push us up way more, and of course, if we get over that 480. The bulls, the bears are going to be in a world of hurt here, and especially if this is a weekly flag that attempts to break out, those moves on the bigger time frames usually yield stronger or more powerful moves. So a daily flag is strong, a weekly flag is even stronger, and you're going to see even a bigger move from something like on a daily chart, right? And it's all fractal. So, I would say if we get over that 80, we get over that. I mean, I could easily see this extending. Let me find the candle. I could even see this extending up here into that 490 area, even very possible, something like that, right? That's what we would be really looking for on a weekly type of breakout. But we kind of got stuff there, right? We did close over the downtrend line, but for me, it's not 100% convincing. And overall, oops, I'm trying to delete this. And overall, in my opinion, we are still just pretty much in this balance zone, and it's anybody's kind of move right here. So let's just kind of have that bigger picture in our mindset here, that if we start to break over and really confirm, and we'll look for last week's highs at that 478.60, we'll call it 478.65. We start to get over that, okay, then we're going to really look for that next move to the upside, right? But if we do try to break out and fail back under, the most likely thing that would happen would be that we would trade back probably down into the bottom of this balance range, right? If we see price come up, can't get over, and then fail back down, the target will be back down here. Now, we will watch our half gap, right here, because that would really have to break to see that move all the way down to the bottom side of the balance. So we may only get about a 50% retracement in the balance zone. The bulls have been so strong, so I think it could be fair to say maybe let's see here, maybe four. I don't even like that one that I just drew here. Let's see. It's going to be around 472. So I think that's going to be really the pivot. I think we can still really, from this picture, maintain that slight bullish bias with a cautious bullish bias, just in the sense that we've got all this overhead, just above us. Weekly still is showing these hot readings here. The daily did cool down a lot, but we want to just be cognizant of where we are as far as these overbought, oversold readings. That doesn't mean, of course, that we're just going to run and pile in the short trade, but something we still want to be aware of. But the 472, I'll watch that. If we start to get under, then I'll be looking for those have a little bit more confidence in those trades back down into the lower part of balance, which will bring us back down to 465. Maybe look to go for some, it might set us up for some longs there, for some swing trades. That would be a much better risk to reward, because then we can go ahead and try to trade back into half gap, and then if we get over, we can come back for that move into the all-time high. So from there, now again, we don't know if this is going to reject, right? This is a bearish scenario. Say we come back up, we reject there at half gap at 472, we could pull back down, or we break back over, hang out for a little bit, maybe do a little bit of consolidation right here like we've been seeing, and then we set up like a little flag like this, and then we get that move up higher, right? So three scenarios there. That's the breakout scenario. This is the fake break scenario. If we come down, this is obviously if we do bounce and then reject here, that's the bearish scenario. And if we bounce from the bottom of balance, come back up, back over 172, consolidate, then we break out. That is obviously the other bullish scenario that we could have as well. Now, let me also show another bearish scenario that we could see play out if we do in fact see a false breakout. So let me redo this, right? Okay. Say we also, now we talked about it possibly bouncing here, right at the bottom of our balance, that 465, comes up, comes back in, right? So you've got two potential short trade ideas from here, right? One, it's obviously shorting here at this 472. Once it's broken under, we get a bounce, come up here, you short here, right? Now, obviously, this is invalidated if it's broken over, right? Because then the trend has changed. Or, right, so this is one idea. Or once it comes back down, retests the summer highs, right? It comes back there, bounces there. Then you look to short the back test of the broken structure. And that would take us down like that. Okay, so there's two kind of bearish scenarios for and setups that you could potentially watch out for, right? Okay, all right, so let's get into the daily chart here, and we'll look at some other structure. I mean, there's no doubt, obviously, with this candle, it's engulfed the last week's bearish momentum. So you know that is all looking good from that viewpoint. Strong candle, big size. So that's good, you know, looking for the bulls there. All right, let's get into just the daily chart here, and we'll also start to look at some of those supply and demand zones. Nothing's really changed about them. We did close up here, you know, again, it's just, we're just in this consolidation, right? And, you know, now we can see a little bit more zoomed in of the range we're trading in. Here we tried to break out. I think that the interesting thing here to be watching too, we'll keep an eye on that daily 9 sitting at 474. We'll just call it 474 even, and the 20 sitting at 471.17. So I mean, even, you know, 471.17. All right, that's $1 lower than our half gap, but you know, like I said, the bulls have just been overall so strong, so they may even just break it just below half gap, do a kind of a fake break, come in here. And let me just put up that half gap here for us. So, you know, if it's somewhere in this area, we might see something where they do a fake break right below that 472, come in and actually just tag the 20 and then recapture, and you know, for hopefully potentially the breakout move, right? I don't know, of course, if it's going to. We could just end up staying in this box and just continue to trade, you know, back and forth. That is obviously another scenario. But the longer that we hang out here without breaking out, I'm going to start to lean more on that distribution side of things, and we would want to be careful there because if this is in fact distribution, then it would be more likely that we break. Again, you know, the safer trade is kind of what I mentioned earlier. We want to see that structure break. You know, yes, obviously we could probably try to short that. You know, I don't know if you know, really want to try to be a top ticker or bottom ticker, but the safer trade, of course, is the break of the distribution, as we kind of went over. We break down, then we look for the retest, and then we short on the retest like that, right? So, and it's the same thing for the breakout trade to the upside as well, just obviously flipped. You know, we look for the breakout, it pushes up, right? I'm going to actually remove that because we can't see it with the note there, right? It breaks out, comes out, pushes back, retests that structure, and then boom. right? So that's how you trade that one, right? So let's see what else we can take away. Now let me actually just pull out the there we go. Okay, so here is our supply zones that we're watching. We've got that basically. I have 479, 75. Basically, that's 480. So we'll be watching this. It's just getting stuck up here. With the pullback that we did see at the beginning of January, gave us a nice little reset. We were watching those overbought readings that we were seeing on the daily here for that potential little pullback that we did get. But now we've reset, hanging out at the zero line. So from this viewpoint, the daily's got some strength, at least some room here to potentially move back up. We have already talked about the weekly chart still being a bit overbought though, so we do want to keep that in the back of our minds as well. All right, let's move it along here, and let's just take a look. Not too much to go over again as far as the daily chart and anything like that, because really we haven't moved. Let's just look at the Dixie check-in, what's going on there. We've been talking about this 102.53 area. Still really has had a hard time really confirming over it, right? And that's kind of been our pivot zone that we wanted to see, if the dollar can actually get over that and accept that price. But so far it hasn't, right? But we are still holding the 9, we are still holding the 20. 20 is a little unconvincing. 9 got bought up, a little fake break there, recapture. So you could even start to make a little bit of a case here for something like this starting to form here on the dollar. So watch out for that. We've got potential little flag there. It's all going to depend on whether or not we can really break out of this downtrend here. But nice little setup there with this tight consolidation forming. Which way do we get? Does it fail and head down, thereby pushing us up to all-time highs? Or do the bears get to have some fun? The dollar pushes up and comes up and puts more pressure on the equity market. If we do see a breakout, I think that the first target would probably be just right matching up and coming in to kiss this 200. So that's kind of what I would be thinking. I'd probably still be going sideways at that point. So maybe in that 103.50 area could be probably a nice target if the dollar does break out. And maybe then thinking, okay, depending on how it acts, think that maybe we could see some selling come in there. It might be a nice setup that times us with an equity long. So let's keep an eye on where, especially if, say, this breaks out to the 200, but then we see that the SPY's coming down to that bottom of the balance zone, down to that 465 area. Okay, now we've got confluence. We're at the bottom of our balance on our SPY, and yeah, we're coming into this potential resistance area on the dollar. Nice confluence. So maybe if we had something like that lining up, that's a trade that we would want to potentially participate in. Okay. All right, so let's look at TNX really quickly here and see what we can take away from that. It's kind of, we were watching it potentially break out, and it's kind of gotten, a bit soggy over the last few days. Really hasn't had the continuation back below the 9 and 20 here. Tried to break out, and this actually, this had that setup that the dollar had, or has right now, right? It tried to break out, but this one broke out to the downside, right? It was trying to break out, couldn't get over the 200, and right back down into this big area here. But this is the structure now that it needs to hold, right? So unless it starts to get under that 39, 39.20, that's what they want. That's what, at least from the bull case, you would want to see. Bullish in equities, I should say, that you would want to see. If this holds, it would just be, it's still holding this structure break, right, of this little inverted potential head and shoulders here that it broke out of. This is where it changed the character, right? So as long as that holds, it could still just fly. And this will just pretty much be flat. So we'll watch it though. I think that 39 is going to be important, and we'll keep an eye on that. But that being said, we can see here what is this hourly? Yeah, you know, we tried to push up and couldn't really get over that 39.80 area. Um, as you can see here, let me throw it up. Boom. There, couldn't get up on over that 39.70. So as long as it stays over that, do I have something else? Okay, there we go. Couldn't really get over that 39.80. So we'll see. I'm still having a hard time getting over that area, that 42. This is where I got concerned, right? If we get over that 41, then we can start to get a little bit more bullish, and that would be recapturing this prior structure right here. But nothing yet. So at least from an intraday basis, we can keep an eye on this. Basically 40, 39.80. Yeah, 39.80. So let's watch that. But this is a perfect rejection right here. So, all right, let's get into some other data points that we like to look at before we get a little bit more granular with SPY, and see if there's anything we can take away from that. All right, well, let's just start off where we are. We're going to take a look here at the Dow and the transports. Transports just hanging out just slightly below that 1550, 15.5, 34.50. That's really what we want to see hold there. If you are bullish, this does look pretty much like a bear flag right now, but we're hanging out in this prior bull flag area. So, you know, do we hang out here? This isn't really a convincing breakdown, but ideally you'd want to see this recapture back over this key area to feel a little bit better. But we still have that divergence that we've been watching in the transports and the Dow here. So I think that that's still a warning sign that we want to look at. These shouldn't be so out of sync, but they are. So this is one warning sign that I will continue to watch. And if this does start to break down more with the Dow holding up, that's one, you know, could be a canary in the coal mine that is developing. So keeping an eye on this relationship for sure. Let's look at our SPX 200 R and our 50R here. How many stocks in the S&P 500 that are trading over their 50-day moving average and the 200 simple period average? This really hasn't moved much. Now we've been watching at this 92 level, or 92%. I should say, still kind of making a little bit of that rounded top type of situation like this. So we want to see, but I mean, it could even come back, just like I said last week, come back to that 74, and then from there make a move back up. You know, it looks like it's cooling down just a little bit. We'll see. The Momo here is, we're not quite overbought yet, but if we get down a little bit more, we start to get those oversold readings again here on the daily, and then we could make a push back up from there. Just a little bit of a reset. You know, really no cause for concern unless we get under the 50% line. So this is all fine and normal. This can pull back. 200 is really the same situation, kind of making that rounded top over that. I couldn't get over that 80% zone. So we'll see. This one has a little bit more room. I don't have any other key areas on this one kind of mapped out, but basically the same situation. This is of course the 50, so this is a little bit more fast moving. So this is going to be a little bit more in the here and now. So I like to watch the 50 a little bit more. Obviously, the 100 is going. The 200 period moving average is going to be a lot slower, responding to the market changes. So, but it's doing that same kind of type of situation. And really, you know, you don't want to get too wild with it, but you could even really make a bit of a case for some type of an inverted cup and handle starting to form here, right? So let's watch that. That'll be interesting. As you know, enjoy my drawings here. Is the water gonna fall out, right? And have price come back down. Maybe. Something we want to watch though. Alright. Let's keep it moving around here. VIX, not too much. volatility still just compressed. Peak call moving up just a little bit, nothing in extremes here for our put call to ratio, but volatility still just dead in the water, hanging out here in this, kind of no fly zone. Still, um, we're still in the same kind of holding pattern here where, it really could make a move at any time. We saw that little short burst of volatility up in the beginning of the month, but back in the complacency zone. So we'll see. But, if this at least holds still, we're right on that 1270, right? And that's going to be key. If we can hold over that, we can start to maybe say, okay, maybe we can start to see some type of a curve up. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Some type of a curve like this, back up. But as we said before in the other videos, really until we get over 15 and then 1570, it's all meaningless. We could pop, but once we get over that 1570, okay, then we want to be a little bit more worried about volatility. But not really too much here. But it's obviously this zone is huge, so it's kind of a little springboard maybe. But we'll watch it. Nothing really too crazy there. What's the VVIX doing? And some of the internals, I don't think anything's changed as far as the deep contango that we have been in. And just bouncing up ever so slightly on the futures. Still on the 9 ever monthly, still down. Ooh, but look at this in the VVIX. Came down into the 75 with a big level here. VVIX, interestingly enough, was up in the last session 13, almost 14%. So keeping an eye on that. Big push here. Is this a front running a potential volatility move here? And in futures, we see a spike here. Okay, this could be a little bit of a warning sign here. Not so much on the 9-day versus monthly, but the VVIX with this pop and the VIX futures getting up a little bit. Okay, that's interesting. Another little possible canary in the coal mines that we want to pay attention to, which might make me believe that the holding pattern that we are seeing could be a little bit more apt to that distribution side rather than a flag breakout, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. But what a move there on the VVIX from that 75. Very interesting to see that. The other thing we want to point out here, okay, we had this deep contango here. But now we've made another low before bouncing. Well, what's going on here? Okay, we had our low, higher. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. We had our low. Now we have a higher. Oh my God. Now we have a higher low being put in here. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Well, we just saw it move a little bit to the downside. This is gonna mess up my whole thing here. Okay, that's interesting to me. All right. Let's keep an eye on that. VIX future starts to creep up. With this creeping up, could be a bit of a warning sign. All right, and I'm not talking about a crash or anything like that. I'm just talking about a pullback. Let's see what's going on with this. Oh, wow. Okay. Two new highs versus new lows. Let's get this out here. Okay, this is relatively flat here on the S&P. Relatively flat here on the S&P, but we came basically down into that zero line in the new highs versus new lows and making a nice little curl here. So right off that zero line, we talked about that being important. That's, we start to break the zero line, then we start to maybe say, okay, maybe we can get a little bit more of a pullback. It's holding strong, pulling up, curling up. You'd want to see maybe the SPY curling up a little bit more. We do, obviously, this is green. It is pulling up just a little bit, but not quite as aggressively on the new highs versus new lows. But I do think think that this is an encouraging sign for the bulls. Seeing a nice reaction here off the zero line, and that's good. But we could maybe make a case for a little head and shoulders. Not really my favorite pattern, especially talking about these things on market internals is a little bit. I don't have the word for it. Superstitious. I'll have to find the right word for it. That's a little out there or unconventional, maybe, and a little silly. But either way, again, we'll watch the zero line. Nice perk up there. I think that's a bullish sign overall. But I would want to have seen a little bit more of a push here to the upside. Markets, of course, ended pretty much flat on Friday, up 33 cents. Big money there. So, all right. So let's get back into. I think that's all for the internals that I would like to go over. Let's get back into SPY here and take a look at some of our levels. Again, not too much has changed overall since we've just been in this holding pattern, but we'll go through a quick little refresher. I did add some levels to the upside here. We will not have any balance zones to the upside, but we'll go over the previous ones again just a little bit and see how they played out over the past week. But let's go into our levels here for now. Okay. You can see here Friday we just traded in this box, right? The 477.25 we could not get over, rejected, and we closed under the 475, 476. So really bulls want to see that recapture there. We are right at the 10-day hourly POC is pretty much lining up right with that 476, about 40 cents right underneath it. So we want to see that hold, recapture, but bulls really going to want to see a move back over 476, and I'm going to have to bring this just a little bit lower. 470, well, that's not right. Come on now. Okay, yeah, 476.50, 476.60. Got to see us recapture that, but really got to get over that 477.22. Once we get over that, then we can look for the test back up into these previous highs, anywhere 478, 478.50. But if we get over that, that's going to give us the breakout that I was talking about earlier. I think it'd be pretty easy for us to make our way up into the 477, 478, and then really get into that 480 level, right? And if we get over that 480 level, we'll of course we'll watch half number 480, 480.50. But over that, right back into 481, 41.05. Over that 481.71, I'll be watching. Over that 482.50, and over that 443.50. And we get over 484, then pretty much our target's going to be close to that 485. Okay, so we'll be watching there. Those are some upside levels that I will be watching. Balance zones, again, I won't have anything there until we get some more price action and data. But even these, these areas too, it's a no-flop. We've never been. It is uncharted territory. So take these with a grain of salt. I did a little research into where I think that where these levels may come from or may be important. But again, take them with a grain of salt, because this is, we're flying in, like I said, uncharted territory up here. But at least we'll have a little bit of something to kind of look at. We'll see how price reacts if we do see the breakout of the range if we come into here. But either way, we've got them mapped out. We'll see. We're going to, like I said, need the data and price action really to kind of confirm or deny. Now, for the bear case, right, if we start to really break under that 474.80, we can look for that downside. Let's look for that wick, though. That's that pre-market 474.23. Let's see if they get under that. If they get under that 473.60, under that, we can trade back down into 472.75. Could be an interesting area for a pickup there. Wouldn't hate that. as a potential dip buy. We've also got the hourly 200 up in that area too. So if we came in down there, nice confluence, potential double bottom with the 200 on the hourly. So it could be a nice bounce zone in there. I mean, I also may even consider trying one right at 474 as well. Kind of more from, we're talking more from an intraday perspective, of course, but we've seen some nice reactions in that area. You can see it congesting over here around that 473, 66, 474. So watch that kind of zone here is another potential bounce spot. If that breaks, then we'll look for the double bottom. But yeah, certainly would have to be a little bit more bearish if we do start to get under that 475 and see what we get, right? So let's go into the balance zones really quickly before we wrap things up. Again, we don't have anything overhead, so we don't know about that, but let's see what we can take away from here. Okay, so again, we'll watch the 474.20. We're already talking about that. But really here, I'd even consider dip buys down here, 474.85, 475.25. Bottom of this balance zone, we can see buyers come in here and try to push us back up to that 476, 476.25 thereabouts. But if we get over that, then we can look a little bit more bullish, try to trade back over into the top of this balance area here, where we could see the shorts again. And you can see the top of this balance is right. We got stuffed again and again and again. Had a real hard time up at this 477.35, 477.70 area. So that's going to be the thing to watch for the real breakout next week. But we start really getting under this 474.20. We can look for those trades back down into this area here. And we saw that steep sell-off, right? And look how nice the balance worked out here from last video. So if you were prepared, we did talk about this 473.35, 472.75. We came right into it, and that was the low of day. Boom, right there. And also we were just talking about where that could lead us up for a potential double bottom zone as well. So look at that, and that's why we always talk about being prepared before the day, before the week starts and the day starts. Every day having a plan. We went over these levels. If you had this, you were able to potentially come in and take that long trade there and get a beautiful move to the upside, right? And I did actually participate in this trade, but on futures, and that was a lot of fun. Okay, but if we do start to lose this low, right, under 472, 70, 75, if we really lose that to 100 too, we'll watch that. I'm looking for us to trade back down to 471, 471.50. That'd be my next area to look at. You can see the highs right here. This is our half gap, so it could be anywhere in that area. I'll pay attention to these highs, but that would be my downside target. If we do break, I'll keep an eye on, what is this, Tuesday's low, 471.40. So anywhere from 471.50 to 470 to basically $1. 471.50 to 470.50. And I will be looking for that as potential to downside targets if, in fact, we do start to break this this 200 SMA, and of course be under 472.70 area. So that would be some downside targets right here and right into here. We start to get under that 470 though, things can get interesting, and potentially look to trade back into the 469, 468. 50, 467.80. So, all right, that's all I've got. I'm actually going to, while I've got this in front of me, I'm going to expand this balance zone right here. Okay, so we've got our levels, pretty much the same song and dance. Let's keep an eye, and remember, a profitable trader is prepared trader. So trade your plan and plan your trades. Let's have a great short week, and I hope again everybody's enjoying the long weekend and time away from the screens. And I think that's all I've got. What else do I need to go over? This video is only 40 minutes long. I'm wondering if I'm missing something. Oh, we went over the dollar. We went over TNX. We went over the internals. I think that that's about it. All right, signing off. See you guys. See you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.